So I never meditated, I never wrote any affirmations down, I was out partying every single weekend, but I told everyone by the time I'm 30 I'd have a house and a family. And then that is exactly what happened. Now, bearing in mind when I was in my early 20s, I was basically out partying. I was thinking like Jack the Lad, living in shared houses, and just like what I thought was just living the dream. So I wasn't planning for the future. I was in and out of jobs as well. So I certainly wasn't saving up for a house, and I certainly wasn't looking for that long-term partner either. But whenever we had a few to drink and we start talking about the future, one thing I'd always bring up is that by the time I'm 30, I'd have a house and a family, and I'd be settled down. People just laugh, they would come on, Ez, we're always gonna be living in shared houses, we're always gonna be doing this, and that kind of thing. But for me personally, I kind of felt that that was the path that I was actually going to be on, but I didn't overthink it. I didn't think how I was going to actually achieve it or anything else like that. I kind of like just say it, and then I just let that go. Then I was out drinking one weekend. I got to know a guy called Mike. His nickname's Chief, and he worked for a company called Salisbury Glass. Now, this company had a commercial and a domestic side. For the domestic, they've just basically replaced windows in houses. On the commercial side, it was like curtain wall, and this is like the glass that you'll see on the side of skyscrapers and such. And I got a job on the commercial side working away. So we'd work away from Monday to Friday, maybe Saturday, and then we'd come home for 2 days, and then we'd go back out again. At this point in time that I decided that I wasn't going to be living in a shared house or anything else like that anymore. I didn't want to pay loads of bills just to come back for a night or two. So I ended up staying at my sister's. Now, first of all, we had a contract in London, then we had a contract in Exeter, and then finally had a contract in Barry, just outside Cardiff in Wales. Now, what was different about this one was the fact that we had a hotel, but they found out that it was actually cheaper to rent up a house here than it was to actually pay out for that hotel. So they rented out a house, and it was this particular time that I decided that, I've got a house here, I don't need to go home if I don't want to. And I was just thinking to myself, I just want to chill out for a bit. I don't want to go back, I don't want to go partying, I don't want to go getting wrecked at this moment. I just want to chill. So I told them I'm just going to start staying in the weekend because it's already paid for and that. And they thought I was a bit crazy, but they go, okay, you want to just sit here by yourself. And I did that for quite a number of weekends, just chilling, going back maybe the odd weekend. And then I decided one time to go to a place called Gordon Bennett's, and basically I went in there, had a newspaper. I think I was going to go watch a football match, and I was sat there having a drink, reading through the newspaper, and I kept on catching the eye of a lady across the room. And when we got chatting at the bar as well, I brought her a drink, but then she went back to her friends. And then when they were leaving, they said that they were going to a karaoke night over Barry Island, and that if I wanted to come. And I thought to myself, and then, like I said, the internal voice in me said, yeah, definitely go. So I decided to actually go. Got to know her really well and that lot. We had plenty of times, dates and that lot, and we got to know each other. And long story short, she actually turned out to be my long-term partner and wife that I am actually still with now. Now, it's this point in my life that I still didn't even contemplate to myself whatsoever that I was actually, manifesting that affirmation that I actually said that I was actually going to achieve. Because at this time I was getting closer to, I was in my late 20s, and, I was no really closer to the goal. Didn't really have any money saved, didn't have a long-term girlfriend or anything else like that. But for me personally, I suddenly met my long-term partner, and I was away from my bad habits and the kind of life that I was actually living. So I got to know her, and then over the course of another year or so, then I got to meet her son, which is my stepson, and then I got to move in with her. And so we lived in a flat just down on the waterfront, and we stayed in there for a good little while. But at this particular time, I was starting to get letters from the tax man. And he was asking me to call and that lot, I think, and I was thinking, I'll just put it off, because they're going to want money or something like that. And I had that for like a couple of months and that. And I kind of ignored it and, just trying to put those things off. And then her ex-partner contacted her, said the house is going to probably be repossessed and that he hadn't been paying his bills and a host of other things that were wrong with one house, but she was actually going to be liable for certain things. So we were discussing that we really need to try and buy him out or something. And then it was this point that I just had that thought in my head once again, contact the tax man. So I contacted him, knew I was going to have to do it anyway, and it turned out that they owed me thousands of pounds, and I was just like, wow. Okay, so we looked into how much money we were getting, how much money he needed for the house to pay him off and that lot, and worked out that we had more than enough. So we could pay him off, we could fix all the problems that were actually in the house, the boiler wasn't working and a host of other issues and that lot, and managed to sort all that a lot. And then we moved into the house. So now I had my long-term partner, I had my house, and I was closing in, at this particular time, I was getting on for about 28, and I was getting like closer, but at this time I still wasn't overthinking it. I never thought about that by the time I'm 30, I have a house and a family. Not once did it cross my mind. I didn't question anything or overthink anything. I was still kind of like going with the flow. At this time then, I started working in like locally, like for window companies and that lot in the Barry area. And then we decided that we wanted to have a child together. And obviously then we did. I had my beautiful daughter, and that happened then by the time I was 29. And lo and behold, everything I said that I was going to do by the time I'm 30, it happened. But it happened in such a way that it was completely like caught me by surprise in certain regards. But I never really thought about it till afterwards, because I never thought I'd ever really settle down. How would I ever get myself out of the way that I was actually in, partying? I wasn't saving up, I was in and out of jobs, all this kind of thing. And it's suddenly like everything just come together, like in the most weirdest ways. Money from the tax man at the most perfect time for the house. I met my partner, from working away, and if I'd have never gone out drinking that one night and met that guy, I'd have never got the job. It's just all these little pieces. And I honestly think though, when I look back that, and especially as I look forward to my life at this present moment, and I'm trying to make things work in a different way and go on a different path, and the way that I overthink things now, I overanalyze everything. Oh, is this going to work? Anything that this is kind of like a life lesson for myself. That just say what you're going to do, and then that's it. Just let it go.